Welcome to Tranergy TV. Today we're on location again in Frankfurt, and on my side is a techno legend. In the 90s, he was one of the main people that produced music for the legendary Sound of Frankfurt, and he had countless hits for projects like Jam and Spoon, Dance to Trance, Storm, Tokyo Ghetto Pussy, and BG, the Prince of Rap. 3 years ago, we had the pleasure of interviewing him in Wiesbaden. Then we did it in German, and today we felt it was time to do an interview in English just because he has so many fans all around the world. The man I'm talking about is Jam Elmar, also known as Rolf Elmar. Rolf, thanks for taking some time.
Hi, how are you? I have to introduce him now. He is one of the first Jam and Spoon fans ever since, and he was really from the first hour, I think. You have been constantly visiting us in the studio. It was the All-Star Warehouse in the old Batsch Cup, which is no more. It's flattened out. It's has been teared down, and now we are at the new studio in the new Batsch Cup, which is like I have to explain. Batsch Cup is a famous rock venue in Frankfurt and in Germany, actually. And so, this is where we are now, and go ahead with your questions.
Yeah, I was living in the States in the 90s, and my highlight whenever I came to Germany was visiting Jam and Spoon in the All-Star Warehouse and, getting the newest tracks that you were producing, because you were producing so much in the 90s.
Right, exactly. And he came into the door and had a stack of records like this high, and this is for my friend in Argentina, this is for my friend in Boston, and I don't know where. So we were like for a couple of minutes I was busy signing the records, but that was very fine. And now I'm completely lost your question. Say it again, please.
Yeah. Rolf, we're going to start with a Formula One question, and we all know you love fast cars, and I remember on, I think, Where is Dag on the record back in '91, you thanked, I think, Ayrton Senna, or you were greeting some of the Formula One drivers. How has Formula One changed in the 22 years since the death of Ayrton Senna?
Oh, well, I think the Formula One is not comparable to what it is now. I think the drivers have a completely different level of fitness and mental strength, and also the cars are not the same. I mean, they have been going through a lot of changes, and now electronics and the energy regaining systems and all this, has become part of the whole system. And it's just a completely different thing, and the cars sound different. Back in the days, there was still my favorite cars was the Ferrari with the 12-cylinder engine, and now they have four cylinders, and they don't sound the same, which I think is quite of a pity, because I thought, a Formula One car really has to sound aggressive and loud and really like a monster, and now they sound a little bit like an electro car.
Thanks for that little insight about Formula One. Let's get to the music now. 20 years ago, it was Mark Spoon, the DJ, and Jam Elmar, the producer. Now it's Jam Elmar, the DJ. And last weekend, you were at Parokoville, where there were many DJ legends, like Tala was there, I think Hooligan was there, and Dune, and many others. Tom Kraft was also there. When was the last time you saw him? I remember you produced a track with him, an album track, Dirty Sanchez, like 12 years ago.
That's right, yeah. And I saw him last weekend, actually, and he came. I was DJing and I was mixing, and someone was punching on my shoulder, which is a little bit it's when you do a transition between tracks and you're fully concentrated. You don't want to have too many people around you, because you have to do your job. But he just came, bam, bam, bam. Hey, how are you? Good to see you. And fist. And it's great to see him again. And I think he has like a bar in Munich, and still doing music, still producing, and he's a great guy.
You followed Dune, and after you was your old friend DJ Duck. Do you watch a DJ Duck differently now when he DJs than 20 years ago? Because now you're a DJ too.
No, I don't see him in a different light. Or what makes DJ Dark special from others? He has a very, very own signature sound. It doesn't matter if he plays on a rave or in a club. You know, DJ Dark sounds always like DJ Dark, and there's no one with the same style. And it's either you like it or you don't. And it's very special though. And so he has found really his own sound and his very own way to DJ. And of course, I mean, he can play vinyl, he can play with CDJs and everything, and he's a full pro. And I'm working with a computer, which is like a completely different thing. And but I think from the very short time I'm DJing now, I think I also have created a little bit my own style with the transitions, the way I do the transitions, so the way I bring in the next track and stuff. And also, but it's completely different from DJ Dark. DJ Dark is very, very special, and I have a lot of respect for him, of course.
Tala made a new mix of one of the classic Storm tracks, Pay in White. What was your impression of the track that he made, his version?
I think his version came out really, really good. I think it's a blasting remix of the old track, and this is the way this track should sound these days, I think. And I just can say it's a great job, and I think it reached the number 6 in the trance charts on Beatport, which is, you don't hit that every day. I mean, that shows that it is a strong track. And I was very happy to listen to his track and to his remix, and of our track, to his remix of our track. Yeah, now I got it. And it was. I think he did a great job. He and his ghost producer. Yeah.
I believe 4 years ago you started to DJ, and now it's really gotten more and more. The bookings are coming in mainly because everyone wants to see the legendary Gem and Spoon. What were the main reasons for going this route?
Well, I have to say I've never planned to go this route. It was not on my roadmap, but things came together, and the first time I was on stage was actually a very sad event, because I played at the Love Parade in 2006 in respect of my partner Mark Spoon, who died away the same year in January. And this was the first time when I was standing in front of this huge crowd, and I was there on stage. I was looking down the street, and the sun was going down, and there was like endless people, and it was like, wow, what is that? I mean, was an overwhelming feeling. And I think 3 or 4 years ago, I was invited for Nature One, which is like a big rave in Germany. It's actually out there in the sticks in the nature. It was I think it's a former missile launch pad or something, and now in the bunkers they have like different clubs, and I think it's a major festival in Germany. And I was invited there, and then I found out how much fun it is to mix from one track to the other. And with music you can really build up like a whole symphony of sound and of you can, with existing stuff, you can create something new from the moment. And it has kind of a very it has kind of a magic. When you do it right and you have a wonderful flow with your set and the people are enjoying it, I think that's the best moments that I ever had in my musician life. It's really nice. I really love to do it. I don't tell my age in this TV. But you can see that from my age, that is not the ideal age to become a DJ. But still, I mean, let's see how many years I can do it and how long the people will want me. But I should have started really much, much earlier. It is really a great job. I really love it.
Yeah, that's really an amazing track, Be Angel, tribute to Mark Spoon. And I enjoy watching that on YouTube, that where you played it with Raymond in Berlin. Recently, you played at Luminosity in Holland. What track do you think was most remembered by the fans that you played on that classic Jam and Spoon?
Age of Love. I think with no doubt, I would say Age of Love. It's people expect from me that I play this track. They expect at least Follow Me, I think. And sometimes when it's a real commercial show, I think they also expect Right in the Night. I played it once in Belfast, in Northern Ireland, and one of the local DJs told me, you have to play Right in the Night in your set somehow, because I thought it would be more underground, but actually it was the opposite. It was really like a very commercial show, and I played Paul van Dyk, and I played Follow Me and stuff like this, and a lot of trance. And at the end of the set, I fired up Right in the Night, and the whole club got berserk, and they were really waiting for this track. So sometimes I also play Right in the Night. It would be like the same if Sven Feth would play Electrica Salsa.
Okay. When you're DJing and playing a Jam and Spoon classic set, how often do you think about your friend Mark when you're playing the music and thinking about the good old days?
Yeah, there are actually really moments when I play the set and when I do the job that I think about Mark, and I always think what would he think about the way I do it? What would he be like delighted, or would he like it, or would he say like you're just do some crap here, man, start DJing or something? I don't know. He's a little bit like this, and sometimes. And yeah, there are moments when I really think about him. And I have to say, the history of Jam and Spoon is the history also of Mark Spoon and of us both. And when I see the people celebrating on our tracks, of course, it's the credits go to him as well.
Do you think his DJing style from back then has influenced you also?
Of course, yes. And I always try to remember the records that he played, because back at that time I didn't buy the records. He was the one who had the records, he had the big boxes, and we were carrying the boxes to his gigs, and some of them I could remember. Some of them were played by DJ Dark as well. And but I don't have the records, and now through Discogs I try to gather the whole repertoire that was hot in the 90s, and or through Beatport they have also like a cool classic collection, and I try to gather everything now, and I have to buy the old records and remaster them and put them in my set. Yeah, it's kind of a detective work.
What I find really interesting is obviously you mostly do Jam and Spoon classic sets, but online you can find your Cancer podcasts, and those are also DJ sets by you, but they're very techno oriented. Talk a little about that, because I've listened to some of them, and techno isn't really my style because I'm more a trance man, but I have to say you select tracks that I like too, because they have a special mix of certain styles. It's not all techno, I believe.
Well, I think it is techno, but it's not. Techno is like has a big variety of different sounds. There's like the hard techno or hard style, and there's like techno that has 124, 25, or maybe 126 BPM, and these records, they have like a very cool flow. They have like a very deep kind of feeling, and I'm sorry. And also, I think they have they work on the same actually with the same formula like trance, for example. Trance musically has a different heritage or a different feeling, but they also they have a good flow, and I just love it. I always was like an admirer of techno. Also, when I back in the 90s, when I produced Right in the Night, I was always into techno, and my manager and Mark always said, "Don't listen to techno. We have to make hits. We want the money." And yeah, but I really, well, if I could have had the chance back in the days, I really would have produced techno also, big time.
I remember back in the day, you know, DJs would always get very upset about, oh God, I gotta carry all my records. I don't think Mark Spoon ever had to carry his records. Someone probably carried them for him. But how has DJing changed in the last 20 years? And are records really missed?
Well, what you mean missed?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's the old school people. I mean, the records. I mean, you know, mixing from record to record. Is that missed by some of the old school DJs, or how do you see it? I mean, because now it's all CD and it seems a lot easier.
Yeah, the thing is, yes, of course. I mean, I have been asked sometimes, like, do you play vinyl? And I have to say I don't play vinyl because it's in first place I never learned to play vinyl, and when I started DJing, like back in for this gig at the Nature One, it was like a live, half DJ set. So I had to prepare something that would work in both ways. And so I think the most contemporary and most successful way to do that is to have a platform like Ableton connected with and synced with Tractor to build this what I wanted to gain. And this was my way to get the most out of my concept that I had in mind. And I still use Tractor and Ableton. Ableton I use for the classic sets, and Tractor for the techno sets that I play from time to time. And the problem with vinyl is not the technique to beat sync the records. This is just like a question of training, I think. The problem is when you come to clubs and the systems are not very good. You know, you have to change the systems, put on your own systems, and sometimes they are not in very good condition. And so you end up there having a terrible time, you know, because the records don't work. And so there's a lot of, you know, risk, or how can I put it? You know, in Germany we say viele Unbekannte. I don't know if there is a expression like this in English, but I think the safer system is to use this, the CDJs, or bring your computer and play it from there. Because I think at the end of the day, it's a set that counts. It's a combination of, or the sequence of tracks that you use and that make the people really dance. And sometimes they don't see anyway how if you are spinning records, or if you're syncing CDs or anything. The people want to have a good time. They want to celebrate, you know, they want to enjoy the music. And I think the best system to make this happen is the system that you should use. If it's vinyl, then it's wonderful. If it's CDJs or if it's Tractor, whatever it is to make the people happy, it's fine. That's my opinion about that.
So your DJ career has been advancing. What are your goals now down the road?
Well, I am starting producing techno tracks actually, and I want to establish myself also in this techno world. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, because you know people don't even know me. You know, the new people, only some have heard about Jam and Spoon, and so it's kind of a new beginning. And of course, I want to widen and complete my repertoire for the classics, that I'm able to play like on any stage, you know, with this. And I think some of the records are really, really great, and I really enjoy to play them in front of the people and see the people enjoying the music. And yeah, just want to be a complete DJ, a good DJ that makes the people rock wherever you are, you know.
Are you allowed to play less known Jam and Spoon tracks?
Of course, yes. I sometimes do. And sometimes I even play known Jam and Spoon tracks, and but sometimes people want more the rave sound, and when if I would play like Stella or something, I think the people would not really be happy about that because it's like a more deep track. So I think you have to just check and see what the people really want, and there are a lot of Jam and Spoon tracks that are probably not known in first place. You know, they're more like hidden gems that you have to take out and fire them up at the right time. This is something about a good DJing, that you play the right track at the right time. You know, this is not syncing some records or whatever, you know, these technical things. That's minor. The major thing is to play the right record at the right place and at the right time.
What's your general opinion about all these 90s revival shows, parties that are coming up? You have all those dance floor acts, the Snaps, Captain Hollywood, Hadaway. What's your opinion of that? Because they've been back and there's like every weekend a party.
Yeah, and I think it's great for the artists, you know, that they have like another opportunity to go on stage and, you know, enjoy the people, do their job. I mean, they are musicians, they are singers, they are performers, and this is what they love. And I think it's great that they are there on stage again and do their shows. And, well, I'm not really in this kind of musician or you know, I'm not a singer, and I'm more of a producer. I do my DJ job now when I play in front of people, but these people like BG or Snap, or I'm happy for them that they're back on stage. Yeah, I think it's great.
Last year you came out with a Best of Jam and Spoon, a 3 CD set, and you also had some reworks of the classic tracks Right in the Night and Find Me. Are there any more reworks planned in the future?
Yes, of course. And we just received a very banging, great track from Airwave of Odysseto and Juna. And we had some communication problems, and I'm really sorry for the fans of Airwave that it took so long to bring this record out. But it's going to be out soon in autumn. I'm sure it's going to be available. And I will make my own edit of it as well. And we plan another edit of Stella. Yeah, another release of Stella. So this is going to be a big one. It has to be really well planned because it's the Jam and Spoon track. As like Age of Love, I think Stella is like one of the major Jam and Spoon tracks. So we have to really plan this well and to make a proper release that this little song will sound the right way, you know.
Yeah, Stella's been remixed to death. 3 years ago, in the interview we did in German, you said, you know, maybe a Jam and Mar album will come out. Now you just said you're working on techno tracks. So what else? Is there anything going to happen with Jam and Mar album, or is that Jam and Mar album in the future as techno?
Well, the thing is, this sounds a bit like confusion. The thing is, the Jam and Mar album is right here under the desk on the computer. Okay. It's right there, and it's actually finished. But I think I'm gonna rework on some tracks and take some weaker tracks out for new ones that I hope is gonna be better. So the work is not really completed. So I think I wanna do like a 2-track thing, you know, the Jam and Mar, which is more like listening kind of music.
That's what we like.
Yes, and the other is more like go into the club and have a good time music. And, you know, it's going to be techno because I love it. And I love to play it. And it's just I wouldn't say it's my hobby. It's actually my passion. So when you compare me to some other people, there are acts like what's his name again? This guy from Barcelona. I think he has also different pseudonyms and he releases under these different act names. He releases different style of dance music. So I think this is quite normal today, you know, that sometimes one and the same person have released different styles under different labels. So sorry, this is the plan that I have.
I'm surprised you've been around so long. Soundtrack Never really entered your mind?
Soundtrack, you mean for cinema? Well, I would be ready, but I've never been asked. So if there is an opportunity, if there would be an opportunity, then of course I would be there and compose for cinema.
Torsten Stenzel just came out with a beautiful new album from his project York called Traveler. He lives in Antigua. Yeah. Wouldn't he be a guy that you would like to visit down there?
Of course. I mean, who does not want to travel to Antigua? And I really have a lot of respect for this guy, because he lived in Ibiza and now he he settled down in Antigua, one of the most beautiful places on the planet, and still produces great music and makes a living there. And I think this is really, really great. Everybody's dreaming and talking about, I want to go there and I want to go here, and and then finally they just end up in Frankfurt, like in a little room, and he just did it. I mean, he said, I go to Antigua and make music over there and build my studio. I think that's absolutely top, and he's a great guy, by the way. And actually we planned to do some music together, but for some reason it didn't happen already. But we both are very busy, though. I think that's the reason.
Okay, now part two, we go back and check out, way back what you were doing, and I'm going way back to 1991. So back in this time, I heard that, your first tracks, and I liked them, and then whenever I saw something with your name on it, I bought it. So then I saw your name on a project called Paradise Program, and was that the most experimental work you did in your career? Because, I mean, that was early in your career, but that was just different kind of music.
Yeah, and probably from this Paradise Program that you heard doesn't represent really the tracks that I did, because I just delivered the raw material, and it was reworked by Dave Durrell back at that time. And the Paradise Program was kind of a funny and interesting idea and concept, because I think there hasn't been like a dance musical ever since, and this was actually the idea, and we wanted to really bring it on stage, but for some reason it never happened. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's my most experimental work. I think some of the most experimental things were the Triple-Matic Faratays 2002, or maybe the 2001 also, in parts.
Dance to Trance, your first release under Dance to Trance. What I found really interesting, I believe you released it in 91, beginning of the year, in the first 6, 7, 8 months, because it had a good vibration sample from Lolita Holloway. And then during the end of the summer of 91, the big hit from Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch was Good Vibrations. And I just, was it a coincidence, or?
I think, yes, it was a coincidence.
Why did you want that sample?
I was looking for vocal samples, and there weren't too many back in that time. Today you can buy bunches of samples online. It's no problem to get vocal samples. But at that time they were quite rare, and I think it's just a coincidence because there weren't so many. And it's a great vocal, of course. It really yells like, please take me, I am the best vocal for your track. And this is just, I think that's what happened there.
That was a great track. A track or a remix that a lot of fans like is your remix Sun for Virus. I believe you made that mix after the Yellow remix for You Gotta Say Yes to Another Excess, because it sounded like there were some sounds in there. Am I right?
Yes, of course. And this it is this acid sound that is from the Novation bass station. It's actually not from the rack version. It's from the keyboard, from the small keyboard. And yes, I loved this sound, and it really worked well. I don't have it anymore, or I think I still have it. I don't know. I have to look up. But yeah, it's just a fantastic sound. So why just using it for one time, not 2 times or 3 or 4, or many times?
You've created so many hits, but I think you're also the master of the hidden gems. And I got to ask you some questions to some of the more lesser known tracks you've done. And one of those is a Dance to Trance track.
I hope I remember them.
Transophobia. I mean, was this just one of those days where you were in the studio and everything worked? Because the atmosphere in that track just really was spot on, in my opinion.
Yes, and actually, I thought about trying this one of my club gigs in Belgium. Belgium actually is a fantastic place for retro music, and it's not just like on a big festival that they have like a retro stage somewhere and you play, the known repertoire. It's they still celebrate this in clubs, and this is actually a true club track. I wouldn't play it on a rave, because on a rave I think it wouldn't work. But in a club, sometimes, and at the right place, at the right time, like I said before, I think it would do very, very well. But also Virus Sun and also this track, I haven't really tried them because, usually when I'm booked, you play just for 1 hour or maybe 1.5 hours maximum, and you can't really show very much. You just have to deliver the most important tracks. People want to hear that and then go home.
Was it harder making instrumental dance to trance album tracks than, say, your straightforward jam and spoon dance tracks?
I think it's you can't really compare both, because they were very, very different from their style, and Marco is a completely different guy from Spoon, and so the influence on me and what I did with it is it's like completely a different story, and so I think you can't really compare them. I wouldn't do that. It's just like if you say, okay, I like orange juice, or no, I like apple juice. So it's down to your preference.
Was there a lot of pressure after the success of Power of American Natives to make that follow-up, Take a Free Fall, which I thought worked very well? You didn't have Linda Rocco on vocals anymore. You had a man, I think Tony, what's his name? Tony Clark, yeah. It worked very well in the clubs. Was there a lot of pressure to make that brilliant follow-up?
Of course. I mean, there's always a big pressure on you. Once you've heard, once you've delivered and experienced your first hit, then you're gonna have a problem. That's for sure, because then you have to deliver the second. In record companies, then you're the hit man, you're the hit producer, and everybody wants to give you a lot of money for the next hit. And then you think, well, I could use the money really well, so yeah, please give me your money, and I try to make the hit. And of course, it's not that easy. It's a damn hard job to make the follow up, of the hit, and so it's. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't really work, and Take a Free Fall was a completely different story from Power of American Natives, and I think that was a very brave move to do it and to say, no, let's do it in a completely different way, because we understand each other as artists, and not like, delivering the same bull all the time. Like we could make another track with a pan flute, and again with Linda Rocco, that would sound a bit different from the first, and everybody would say, look, they don't have any ideas. But we came up with something completely different, and I think that's was the right thing to do. The record company was not too happy about that, I think, but it's still a great track, and I think DJ Dark still plays it in his sets. And it became popular, though. It was not that mega seller, but it is a good track.
Another one of the great all-time jam and spoon tracks is the Odyssey to Annonia. Where do you rank that as the all-time best melodic tracks that you've made?
Well, I don't know. I think the people should really pick their favorite track. I mean, I love them all, because I think all of them are just are like a gift. You can't expect to make a track like this like every day, so you're really happy that you have the inspiration, you can really, be thankful about that, that you had the chance to make such tracks, and so I really love them all. I mean, there's like a big family of little children, and you can't say really I love this child more than the other, I love them all.
Another one of your rare gems, Swing and Trance, The Odd Company. Yeah. Whose idea was that? Was that Doug's or your idea?
It was definitely Doug's idea. He once came into the studio and had, I saw this after I DJ'd at the Dorian Gray, and I was like on my couch Sunday afternoon and saw this music, and I have this crazy idea. Let's put a groove underneath and make a like a special track out of that. And so it was a bit of editing the whole stuff, and we didn't have the technology that we have now. Now it would be like a 2-hour job to do that, but I think it took me like a whole afternoon or like a day to really make everything in sync. And yeah, it's a very, very strange, funny track. I really love it, and it just was a lot of fun to do that.
What was your inspiration behind NASA, the NASA Jam and Spoon? I think that was one of the longest tracks you guys made. It was like 14 minutes. Great experimental piece of music.
Yes. I think the idea was to bring up something with a sequencer line from this guy over here, and to make it really sound like 80s disco kind of vibe with this ongoing sequencer. And it was named after this nocturnal audio sensory awakening. And this is it's just a great album track. It's also one of my favorites, I think. It's has a very special sound because back at that time we still used these kind of
hardware,
and they still sound great.
Love Is Here to Stay was a Storm track. Was there ever any ideas of making it a Jam and Spoon track?
No, it was always a Storm track, but it from the sound and from how what it represents and everything, I think it could have been a Jam and Spoon track as well. Yes.
Another hidden gem is what you did with Dag way at the beginning. Peyote was a project you guys did. I Will Never Fight No More Forever, but also Shaman's Call, original from the movie Thousands Roads, track from Carlo Nakai. How much did you appreciate making this piece of music?
Very much, and actually I have to thank my mother for this, because she came back from the US and from Arizona with this little cassette. I don't know if you guys still know what a cassette is.
Of course we know.
Yes, well, but I don't know. This 9-year-old people there and watching your trans energy TV. No, how is it called? No, sorry. And she came with this cassette and with this track on it, and because Doug had this was completely into the Indian culture of the North American Indians. I said, my mother once brought this cassette. Do you want to have a listen? And I think because there are some tracks that we could really edit well and make a great track out of that. And this is actually the idea behind, this is how it happened. We just sampled it into the S1000, the bits and pieces of this track, and put a rhythm underneath, a groove underneath.
Moon Spirits, your first album with Dance to Trance, is that, if you look back, one of the best works you did? I mean, just that whole album, if you listen to it, it has so many amazing tracks. Remember Exxon Valdez or Hello San Francisco. I mean, this music back then, I mean, people were like, what is this? I mean, it was just amazing.
Yeah, and I think this album really represents the vibe of this time very well. At that time, we were just doing music, we were not thinking about charts, or we were not thinking about being successful or anything. We just wanted to make good tracks that Doug could play in his DJ sets. and I think every single track on this album he played actually in his sets, although they were not really clubby in the common sense of vibe. He just did it, because he was a Dorian Gray DJ, and if the people were like not really digging the track from the first time, he played it 10 times or 20 times, and after that they were understanding the tracks, and all of a sudden, like, it was the club hit of the Dorian Gray, and he could do things that probably DJs are not able to do anymore, or most of the DJs actually.
Yeah, DJ Dag, probably one of the best DJs. Torsten Fenslow said in the Serenity CD when he thanked the people, the best DJ colleague he ever had. So I mean, that's a lot of respect. Jam. In 1999, you guys came up with a great idea. I don't know if it was you or if it was Mark or if it was Sony, of doing new mixes of Stella. Stella Got Her Groove Back. And there were a lot of remixes. Tall Paul did a remix. Storm did a remix. But I've told you this before. One of my all-time favorite remixes that you've done is the Jam and Spoon remix. And just to help you, because I know you've done so much, it's that track at the beginning where the baby is talking, and then it goes into that long intro, that long intro, and I love this remix so much. Do you remember making that with Mark?
Yes, of course. And I think we once. I don't know if you're talking about this track. It was actually the Moby Go remix. Or do you mean this or the other?
No, it's the Jam and Spoon remix for Stella Got Her Groove Back in '99.
Oh, okay. Now, yes. Since you see, this guy knows the repertoire better than me. And, the thing is, back in the days when we did the Moby Go remix, we also had some baby noise there at the beginning, so I was a bit confused. Yeah, I remember how we did that, and it's nice that you like it very much. The thing is, we... Of course, we did the original, so we could still live in this kind of vibe that the track has, and we could not reinvent the track, and probably this is the reason why it is most authentic. I don't have any idea. Maybe some other people love the other remixes better than our remix work, but I don't know. Everybody has to find out for him or herself.
Maybe the next time when I know I'll be at a gig of yours, you will play it especially for me.
Yeah, well, let's see.
We recently interviewed your ex-colleague, BG, the Prince of Rap, Bernard Green, and he said something very interesting, and maybe you actually know what happened. He told us in the interview that there was actually a fourth BG, the Prince of Rap album planned, but he just didn't understand why it never came about.
Well, the thing is, I think I produced the first and parts of the second album, and then then other people took over. And
you did Disco Fever.
Oh, thank you very much. And okay, well, I don't know. I have to say I can't really remember. There was so much things going on, but BG, his style moved into something that wasn't really me anymore. So I said, well, let other people take over, and maybe they can do a better job than me. Because also at the end of the day, although I'm a producer, still you have to feel the music. You have to. You can't really do what you don't understand. And you have to be into the thing, into the music. And if this doesn't happen, you better say no. It's not always about a good producer that he does the things, that he can do everything. It's also about a good producer that he can say no to some other things that he's not good for. This is so much ability of reflection a producer should really have, in my opinion.
What's your personal opinion of the EDM scene today? Can you identify with the David Guettas, Calvin Harris, and Avicii's?
Oh, well, I'm not sure if I can really identify, but especially David Guetta. I have a big respect for this guy because there haven't been too many producers and DJs that had so many worldwide number one hits like him. And he's a very, very competent and very good DJ, you know. I'm really, really sad about this David Guetta bashing in the social networks, and he decided to do something, you know, that he thought he could do very well, and he did it very well, and he just did it consequently. And what he does is just like the idea, or the try to make it as perfect as possible. And of course he can DJ with vinyl and with any other gear that you give to him. And I think there's one set that he played at Radio 1 where he just played vinyl. He really kicked these people in the butt, you know, because then he could really show that okay, you better shut up, and I'm really, you know, I can do it, and I always could. And I read a long interview with him, I can't remember the magazine, and he has such a huge knowledge about repertoire, and he's just a top man. And style-wise, what do I think about the EDM scene? Well, I think I can listen to 3 or 4 EDM songs and I can enjoy them. I like the energy, but then it starts to be a bit more like a formula. You know, it's every time it's the same. And well, dance music maybe tends to be actually a little bit like a formula all the time, but with EDM, it's really very, very obvious, you know. And yeah, I can listen to 3 or 4 songs and then I say bye-bye.
Okay, Rolf, we're nearing to the end of the interview. We still have a few more questions. When you're at Frankfurt Airport, getting ready to hop on a plane to your next great gig, what memories do you have when you walk past the non-existent Dorian Gray?
Well, I cannot say that I'm really sad about this, you know. Everything.
But I mean, all night long, your tracks were being played in there.
That's right, and actually, from a physical point of view, they still vibrate there. You know, there's still the vibration of the whole thing. You know, from our tracks and from the other tracks. It's just very, very tiny, but it's still there. You know, because energy doesn't disappear. But that's another thing. But when I passed the Dorian Gray, I say, yeah, I had great times. I had funny times and I had sad times there, and yeah, it's over. It's like it's life, you know. Things grow and then they have their peak, and then they decay. It's just the way material life is, and that's just the way it goes. So I'm not really sad, and it's just normal, you know. It happens to everything. It happens to me when I die. I'm gone, you know. Dorian Gray is gone now, and that's life, part of life.
There's been a rumor that possibly at the end of the summer they're going to name a street at the Frankfurt Airport for Thorsten Fenslow. Do you feel like his legacy over the years hasn't really gotten the deserved credit it should?
Well, I don't know if I can really judge about that. I think the music he did is still there, and it still happens on stage, like you said, in these 90s DJ or this 90s shows, you know, with La Bouche and Culture Beat and BG the Prince of Rap and others. And yeah, I think it's it still happens, so I guess the music is still not over. So I think that's the good news, and I don't know if there should be like more respect to his heritage. I don't know. I'm not the right person to ask about that. You know, probably yes. Maybe there should be more respect, but maybe it's okay. I don't know. It's just like I said before, it's things happen, and they have their time, and then it's over. And what I do now on stage is also like a museum. You know, I show these are the tracks that happened, or this is like the fundament of the electronic dance music now. What we did back in the past, and people can listen and enjoy it, and see that there's not such a big difference between what we did in the 90s from now. It's just like a different sound. Today this music sounds probably a bit more perfect, and the sounds are huge and bigger, and but mainly I'm just doing museum, you know. When I go there on a retro stage, I know I'm like a museum DJ, because I play all this old stuff, you know. And well, that's the way it is.
We enjoy that. Recently, Prince passed away. Did he have any influence on you in the 80s?
Not so much, but I always liked his tracks, and I was one of my favorite tracks is, of course, Purple Rain. I think this, especially the end, when the song comes to the end with this sequencer playing in the background and this guitar solo, I think it's absolutely huge. This is like a masterpiece. And I liked Alphabet Street. So I saw or I heard Sven Väth playing it at the Dorian Gray, Alphabet Street, and there was this kind of electricity in the club, in the air, because the groove was so hot and so well, and some of the most perfect grooves I've ever heard.
2 more questions. What 3 tracks would you take on a deserted island tomorrow?
How many tracks?
3 only.
3 only. I would. Oh, that's a hard one. That's a tough one. Man, you're coming with these questions that I can't answer. Well, probably I would. I don't know. Probably if I would go to an island, I would leave everything behind and just go. Happy to be like, don't have the noise around. You know. I think that's probably what I would do. I say bye bye records, bye bye studio, bye bye. Logic and everything. I just would sit there at the beach and enjoy the sound of the seashore.
So this interview ends, we go, and then all of a sudden you close the door, and then you feel something, the need to open the door, and there your friend Mark reappears. What would be the first thing you would say? He
probably would say, I watched your DJ sets from up there, and they're really lousy. You have to become a real DJ like me. Probably, I don't know.
And how would you answer? Ja, alles klar, Markus.
I would say, shut up. Shut up.
Okay, thank you very much, Rolf, for talking to Tranergy TV. It's always a pleasure, and please DJ until forever, eternity.
Last word. I have to tell you some really, really personal thing. I had a dream about Mark Spoon, and it was a very, very clear dream, and it was almost like it was real. And actually, I was dreaming about Mark, and he was greeting me and said, "Hey, how are you?" And I was like, "Hey, where have you been? You know, where have you been all the time?" I said, "Doesn't matter. Let's go into the studio and make some music." And then I woke up. Isn't that nice?
Beautiful way to end the interview. Thanks for the interview, and all the best, and DJ forever.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, guys.